So what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Well, knowledge is knowing something, and wisdom is putting what you know to good use. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And I was inspired by a lady named, Larissa Andres, all right, who wrote an article called 13 Valuable Lessons We Often Learn Too Late in Life. And when I saw them, I said to myself, you know what, these are the difference between knowledge and wisdom. It's how you put these things into effect. So let's go over some of these, because you want to be wise, don't you? All right, first of all, one thing that people do is they put their relationships on a pedestal. And when you do that, you kind of tend to ruin the relationships. You know, when you take a look at Hollywood movies, you know, it's like, you know, and they lived happily ever after. You know, thinking about your partner as your soulmate will create very high expectations. Every time that they fail to meet that, your relationship dies a little bit. And the same thing's true for your best friends. You expect them to be there for you 24/7, to have your back no matter what happens. But real life isn't really like that. So perhaps a better way to do that might be to think of those special relationships as partnerships, instead of, you know, the ultimate dream soulmate relationship. And when you say partnerships, then you're expecting from your partner a little give and take. You know, for the most part, there's going to be agreement, because you wouldn't partner up with someone that you don't necessarily, you know, agree with most of the time. But a good partner is there to help you stay on the straight and narrow as well. Does that make sense? And you expect to get that kind of feedback from, you know, corrective feedback from people that you really, really revere. It's meaningful. When you get feedback from people that you don't revere, it's like, oh, he's a yutz anyway. But when it's somebody that really cares about you, you know that they're not saying it unless they're really trying to help you. Does that make sense? So perhaps a better way to look at those types of relationships, instead of the soulmate aspect, would be to look at them as partnerships. Secondly, once again, we're talking about the difference between knowledge versus wisdom. The first step is always the hardest. You come up with an idea. One of the things that we have preached from this pulpit tremendously often is the key thing about being successful is getting to the starting line. You don't have to have the entire game plan to be successful. Once you get to the starting line, you'll get your body in motion, you'll create inertia, you'll be moving in the right direction, and then you're going to run into a roadblock. And then guess what you do? You regroup, you rethink, and you create a new starting line. And that is essentially what success is a succession of new starting lines until you get to the finish line. But the first step is always the hardest. So get to the starting line. You're going to find that the people that are successful are the ones that try things, not the ones that procrastinate. So do what you have to do to get your body in motion. A body in motion stays in motion. Third, discipline is all about building habits. The thing that separates the 95% crowd from the 5% crowd are the habits that they embrace. You as an individual, all of us, become the habits that we embrace, the habits that we do every single day. When you look at a certain person, you go, oh, he's a basketball player, or oh, he's a doctor, or oh, he's a lawyer, or whatever. you become the things that the habits that you use every single day. You actually become that particular person. So take a look at your little habits. And here's the thing about it. You know, the habits that we're talking about are little guys. It's not like a huge habit. I mean, it's not like, you know what, I'm going to be a marathon runner. I'm going to go out and run 26 miles every day. No, it's a little habit of a little weightlifting or a little working out. Or, you follow what I'm saying? I mean, it's the little things that you do every day that become a big thing. And these little things are easy to do and easy not to do. And the people that become disciplined, that get the job done, are the ones that do the things that are easy to do consistently and maintain their discipline. Fourth, once again, wisdom and knowledge. You have to tell people how you feel about them, because tomorrow, that may never come. And you know, Eli, when you start to get, shall we say, up there in age, you know, and I'm not ready to kick the bucket, Eli, so don't be thinking that, but my point is, as you become, let's say, more mature, there you go, or more seasoned, you know, you think back to people that have left us, and you say, you know, I wish I could have said to them while they were here, while they were alive. And that's one of your major regrets that you will come across. So one of the things is, when somebody does something that you feel strongly about, let them know, because you're going to lose that good feeling that you would have been able to share. And I think back of several people that, you know, are not here anymore, because that's the way life is, and what I would have really liked to have said to them that I didn't get the opportunity to do. And I also think back to people where I did take that opportunity and said something to them, and the relationship just blossomed. So that's a good thing. If you tell people how you feel, create that bonding experience. How you spend your money is more important than how much money you earn. How many times have we seen, and you know, I'm a big sports guy, so you know, athletes come to mind, but it's not just athletes, it's rappers, it's musicians, you know, it's people that get like a giant 15 minutes of fame, and they make a lot of money. And there are those people that, you know, you take a look back and you see them, and they've got no money at all, and they just didn't handle their money wisely. And on the other hand, you see people that never really made, quote unquote, the big time, but just trudged along, took their money, had the discipline to put some away, put some away, put some away, and then when the time comes, these people got bucks. They got money to spend. They got money that they set aside. So, once again, how you spend your money is more important than how much you earn. Because when you do that wisely, then you're going to have something to show for it. Always make sure that you have something in reserve for a rainy day. And boy, during this pandemic, that thought should really be hitting home with so many more people than it did before, because once again, anything can happen, and you want to have that financial umbrella for when it rains. There is no shame in not knowing. You know, one of the things that creates a worthwhile positive bond is the ability to trust when your leader or when your coworker tells you something and you can take it to the bank. Too many times people will ask a question and somebody will just make up an answer. And then what that does is it takes away from your credibility. And I had a relationship with somebody, and she would often say to me, You know, you always say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I said, well, I don't know. All right, what, you want me to make something up? I don't know why that irritated her so much, but it did. And my point is, I'm not going to give up my credibility to make something up. It doesn't make sense. It's not something that moves situations forward. So if you don't know, the good thing to say is, I don't know, but I can look into that for you. Is that fair enough? Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know, that's kind of a personal one with me. There are so many people that talk out of their backsides that I just find that very, very annoying. And the people that you count on when they say something, you want to be able to take it to the bank. Seventh, every new endeavor that you try stinks when you do it in the beginning. You know, one of the, and I thought of this, there was a lady that I wanted to make friends with who loved roller skating. I mean, we just met, she talked about roller skating, and I mean, this was years ago, and I had never gone roller skating. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go roller skating, and I'm going to ask this lady out, and we're going to go out roller skating. So I went out for a couple of weekends and practiced roller skating. And then I was in a position to say, hey, you want to go roller skating this weekend? And we went out and we had a good time. But if I had asked her before I had learned how to roller skate, the date wouldn't have been so much fun because she would have kept picking me up off the ground. And how did I know that? Because I had another lady that I wanted to make friends with who said, hey, let's go horseback riding. What could be so difficult about horseback riding? Oh my goodness, I found out. I went horseback riding for the first time. She was an experienced horsewoman somewhat, and I'm sitting there and I'm scared out of my mind. The horses go. I'm telling you, it was one of the worst experiences that I ever had. So everything that you do, and I'm not just talking about fun things, I mean business things also. Whenever you're trying to do something, the first time you do it, you're not going to be good at it. Have some patience with yourself, have some discipline with yourself, but understand that repetition is what's going to get you to improve a great deal. And one of the things that you want to strive for is muscle memory, and that's either mental muscle memory or physical muscle memory, and that will make you better in that particular endeavor. So don't be discouraged when in the beginning it doesn't work out. Have the discipline, have the grit to continue onward. If you want to improve yourself, you need to observe your thoughts and your actions. You know, a gentleman named Socrates, who was born many, many years ago, and Eli Noah, I didn't know him personally, said the unexamined life is not worth living. And too many people go around and they don't stop and pause and reflect on their goals, their ambitions, their actions, and at the end of the day, it's a good idea to give yourself a minute or two. That's all it takes, and just go over the things during the day and say to yourself, you know, this could have worked out better, or that worked out great, and then tomorrow I want to do this, and visualize yourself doing that exactly the way you want to get it done. So if you're going, let's say, golfing, see yourself on the green sinking that putt. If you're playing football, and the reason why I say this is because, you know, I'm a big New England Patriots fan, and one of their Super Bowl wins happened at the end of a game when they were playing Seattle. The ball was on like the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, and for whatever reason, the quarterback threw a pass and the defensive player stepped in front and made the interception. And when he was interviewed, the very first thing he said was, you know what, I visualized that exact ending last night before I went to sleep. Does that make sense? So visualize the things that you want to see happen. Examine your life. The unexamined life is not worth living. 9, success comes in many forms. You know, we're a personal development channel. We talk about success, and most of the time we're thinking about how you can be successful making money. That's one way. But I'll tell you something else. One of the most successful people that I know was my dad. And my dad, Eli, your grandfather, never made a whole lot of money. He's a guy that was very smart, went to Boston Latin School, which was, you know, the #1 charter school before they even had charter schools of the day. All the smart kids went there. And then he went to Harvard. I don't have to tell you about Harvard. And then he went into business. World War II came, things happened, so on. My mom, your grandmother, got very, very sick. But his major objective was to raise your aunt and me and family. And he spent quality time with me, and I think of him all the time. And I hope to be, as I've said many times on this channel, half the dad to you that he was to me. He was a tremendous success. And there are moms all over the country that mirror that same objective about raising their children. And people have different goals and objectives. And once again, success comes in many forms. It's not always measured by your bank account. Understanding how ego works will solve many of your problems. You know, when you're able to not only examine your life, but study other people, how they think, what motivates them, what gets them going. You know, as an example with little kids, when somebody does something right, you want to compliment them, you want to make them smile, like, yeah, way to go, you know, what a great effort you just put out. Fantastic, good job. Keep in mind that, you know, how people's ego, how they work. And this is especially true with the people that you're close with. It's so easy to get complacent and not remind them how much you admire them. And when you can do so with specificity, I love the way you do this. I love the way you hold my hand when I'm feeling down, and you know exactly the right time to do that. Thank you for being my #1 person. I appreciate that so much. Understand how people's egos work. They need to be like a fire. They need to be, you know, stroked a little bit. You know, you need to put some wood on the fire. That's a good thing to do. So understand what makes other people tick. Understand what makes yourself tick. And by the same token, don't let slights by other people affect the way that you feel. Some people are not that thoughtful. Some people don't get, you know, at the workplace, you know, some bosses, all they do is tell you when, oh, you didn't do that right, you didn't do that right, and they never say when you did something right. That's not a good thing. That's their problem. Don't let their problem become your problem. Which brings us to the 11th thing we want to talk about, which is empathy and gratitude are the foundations for everything. Understanding, you know, once again, knowledge versus wisdom. Understanding how other people feel is a key element in what you want when you want to perform an activity, when you want to get something done. What is it that makes somebody want to get something done? And you can only do that by by having empathy, by putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Same thing applies during bad times. You know, when you know, especially now during this pandemic, you know, some people have lost people close to them. This is not the time to say, you know, hey, don't let this pandemic run your life. Yeah, it already has. I've lost people. You know, where's the empathy there? Where's the feeling? Empathy is feeling what I feel, understanding what I feel, and also gratitude. You know, especially, you know, as we said, one of the things that when I look at people that are running organizations, or people that are managers, or people that are in a position of leadership, you've got to remember that one of the key things that will make you a successful leader is by giving compliments, is being a good finder. Because most of the time, as we just said previously, managers will talk to you when you did something wrong. Talk to people when they do something right. Because if you only talk to people when they do something wrong, every time they come up, they go, uh-oh, what did I do now? Boom, their attitude goes down. On the other hand, if you're talking about people say, hey, that was a super nice job. You really helped the team there. Well, that was a great move. That was very creative. Keep that up. Hey, give me 5. That was fantastic. When you do that, that creates a bonding experience, and it creates a sense of positive certainty that, hey, I'm doing the right thing. The boss likes it. They want me to do more. I'm going to do more. People crave certainty. And proportionately speaking, you should be a good finder by saying good things, compliments to people on a scale of approximately 5 or 6 to 1 at least. So if you find yourself being negative at a higher level than that, give it a rethink. When you get to 5 or 6 to 1, take a look around and see how your organization thrives. Be a good finder. If you like something, say it out loud. Especially as, the leader, as the boss, say it out loud. Why? Because when people hear something that they've done well, it helps their ego. See, these things are all tied together. Not only that, but when other people hear it or see it, that makes them feel good, because it's not just the boss saying it, it's like the boss said it in front of everybody. So that puts me up a little higher. When you like something, say it out loud, let people know, build them up, and you'll get more of what you want. And the last thing we want to talk about, if it's out of your control, get it out of your head. We in life cannot control everything. Focus on the things that you can control. Learn to live with the things that you can't control. This pandemic is a real good example. There's some areas of control and some areas you can't control. The areas that you can control, when you get out there, make sure you have your mask on, make sure you social distance. You've heard that ad nauseum. I'm not going to go over those things. The point is, that part is under your control. Now, what happens in East Egypt, the fact that they're having a hotspot there, the fact that they're having a super spreader event at the White House, there's really not much you can do about that. Be cognizant, but what are you going to do about it? All you can control is what you can control. So make sure that you're wearing your mask, make sure your kids are wearing your mask, make sure you social distance as appropriate. And that's just an example. I'm not, getting on the, coronavirus soapbox. I'm using that as an example. There are other things in life that mirror that same sort of mindset. Control what you can control. And because we will never end a meeting on philosophical note, once again, that's knowledge versus wisdom. Let's all get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.